Hello everyone, it's Rachelette from Moments to Milestones here today with our newest 3-card class. This class is featuring the Spellbinders Fresh Picked Flowers collection. We're going to use the, I think, anemones, the daisies, and the buttercups. So we're going to make these 3 cards. So these 2 cards, the orientation is the way it was meant to be used. It's supposed to fill up an entire A2 size card. This one we didn't use everything, and we used it not in the way it was intended, just to show you that you can certainly do that with these dies. So if you get a kit, it's going to look like this, and you'll get a picture of each card and the list of supplies we used to create the kits. So we will go ahead here and get started with this Just Saying Hello. And you have, I went ahead, these sentiments have been better pressed. So you can pick and choose. They're all the same size, so you can pick whatever you want to put on your card. I just gave you all that I have, so you can set those aside. And we're going to go ahead and ink and build up our flowers. So you have 3 greenery pieces. We don't need the whites. Let's start with the yellow. So these are the centers. I'm going to get out some yellow ink, and this is just to create some more depth. So I'm going to use a finger dauber and distress ink and fossilized amber, and I'm going to add some color to the flowers. So I'm going to start just in the centers, like so. Just where those embossed lines end on all 3. And then for these, I'm going to go ahead and come up from the bottom. And then I am going to go ahead and just ink the edges of everything, just the top edges. I'm not worried about the bottom. You could go all the way around if you want, since they are kind of double layered. Alright, so that's it for those. And then you have these yellow pieces, so it's up to you. These white pieces with the holes are going to fit on top. But I'm going to go ahead and just put some ink around the edges. And it's very subtle, you probably won't even notice it, so you could skip it if you wanted. Done with the yellow. I'm just going to clean up my workspace here with a little alcohol. And then you have the 3 green stems. So I'm going to use some peeled paint and another dauber. And I'm just going to add some color. I'm just going to come up from the bottom on them. These are kind of delicate, so you'll have to be careful. And then I'm going to put a little right there where that flower meets the stem. I'm going to call that good. Alright, so now we're going to layer up our flowers. So I'm first probably going to need a piercer of some kind, and I'm going to poke out the rest of these holes. Alright, I've got those done. So we're going to start with these flower centers. So you have 3 solid white ones, and then you have 3 solid yellow. So the solid yellow is going to go in the center of the solid white, and there's really no right or wrong. They don't really match up in any particular way. So I am just going to get my glue started and then glue those down. And then these white pieces will fit directly over that yellow. So. And these will match up. Like this has 2 little bumps at the end, so those will match up perfectly. All right, so there's your flower centers. So now you want the 3 solid flowers, and the largest is going to go in the largest flower, and so on. And I'm just going to make sure it kind of touches where those lines are kind of cut in there. And so now we have these 3 front petal pieces. So you can, because of the bulk of all that paper, I'm going to go ahead and pop those up. I'm probably going to need to cut down some foam. I'm just going to take a strip and cut it right down the center. Then I'll have plenty. And one there. And over here. And then I'll just put some glue right there. I could probably put one more right down here. And just line it up. All right, so now we have 1 flower done. I'm going to repeat that with the other 2 flowers. All right, so we have our flowers done. So let's go ahead and put our card together. So for this one, if you want, I did add a little bit of ink to kind of pull out this weave embossing folder. So it's up to you. I'm going to use Evergreen Bough, and I'm just going to go around the edges. And you're really not going to see much. It's going to be mostly covered with that white. So I'm really going to hit the edges hard, and then kind of around the corners, I'm just going to come in a little. So just like so. And then this white's going to go straight down in the center. So I'm going to use wet glue just because of all the dimension. Center it on there. I have a large block. I'm going to sit on that while it dries. And let's pull the rest of this over. All right, I think that is good and dry. So what we're going to do, actually I'm going to go ahead and put this piece on our white card base. All right, and then let's layer up our flowers. So you have the largest one. I'm going to go almost all the way down. And then with the flower facing to the right, I'm going to slightly overlap. And then the other one slightly overlaps. So they're going to look something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those down. All right, so we have our greenery on. Now these flowers are going to go, there's kind of you can see kind of an embossed line that kind of shows you where to sit your flower. So, and then the smallest one goes over here. Now this is going to slightly overlap it, so you're probably going to have to pop that one up. And this one's going to go over here. So I'm going to glue down the smallest one first. And then I'll do this one. And then this one, so I'll put a few, actually I have some thin profile, I think that's what I'll use, just so my card isn't so bulky. So it's about half of the height as those foam squares, which I think they make foam squares in that size as well, but I have a roll, so. And then that way it'll sit on top. I might pull mine down a little bit so I'm not off the card. There we go. Still not enough. All right, so that part's finished, and now I'm gonna choose a sentiment. I have just saying hello on there. Let's try something different. How about a million thanks? And I'm gonna also pop that up. And it's just gonna be centered down here over the greenery. All right. You could certainly add glitter maybe to the flower centers or add some jewels if you wanted to bling it up, but otherwise that card is finished. All right, our next card is Smile, and this one we're using the daisies. So we'll go ahead and layer up, should have 4 daisies and 4 sets of centers. You should have a craft colored solid piece and then the yellow. And you're also going to have this itty bitty bud there as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop out the holes for these yellow pieces. Alright, I got all those little fiddly pieces out of there, so I'm going to take that same yellow ink, the fossilized amber, And I'm just going to go around the edges of these centers. And it really just creates depth. Otherwise, it kind of looks, they just look flat. All right, and then I'm going to do that same thing, but with a brown ink around the solid pieces. So I'm going to use Gathered Twigs, and I'm just going to do the same thing. Just go around the edges. If you wanted the centers to be darker, you could certainly just cover the whole thing with a darker brown ink. And one other thing I forgot to do while you have that yellow ink is you can see the word smile here is a little bit darker on the bottom. So I'm just going to take that dauber and just come up from the bottom gently and add color to the bottom. And this kind of creates this ombre look. All right, so let's go ahead and let me clean that up so I don't get yellow anywhere. All right. So we've got our daisies. So I'm going to start, let's see, I'm going to put some glue in the center. And this medium-sized one is going to go right here. And then medium-sized. And there probably is a right way. There we go. Glue on the back. And put the little one on. So they're kind of coming off the edge, more like a cone flower. So let's layer them up first and then find the way I want them. They're pretty much the same size and same shape. So one of them we're going to put, let's see, this has longer stems, which is going to be this one at the top. So it's more like sticking straight up. And this one with slightly shorter stem or petals is going to be more flat. But there's really no right or wrong. I just tried to go off of the packaging. And then you have that itty bitty little flower bud. So you have 2 pieces of teal greenery. And on this one there's a bud. And that white piece is going to get glued right on top. Just like so. All right. So now you should have a card panel, sorry, a white card panel that's slightly smaller than your card base. And we're going to build up from all these flower pieces there. So a suggestion I would have is to have some press and seal. And so if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the stuff you would use in your kitchen. Glad press and seal. It's sticky on one side and it works great for holding your die cuts in place. So I've got a piece off to the side ready to go, and I'm going to start placing my flowers. So for this particular one, the grouping, you have a larger and a smaller. The smaller goes at the bottom, and this one is going to come right there. So it's really going to go almost edge to edge. It's made to fit on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. So I'm just going to play with it till it just fits. And that looks pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and put my flowers down. So this one that has a little bit longer, that flower is going to go in there and it'll just fit in the corner. This one's going to go up here. And right now I'm not gluing anything down. I'm just placing them. This one has a kind of wonky petal right there, and that's going to go up here in that corner. Okay, and this last one kind of has 3 petals that kind of line up, and those line up with the edge. So that's how your flowers are going to go down. So I have everything I wanted. Now, picking it up and gluing it is going to be difficult. So that's where the press and seal comes into play. So I'm just going to lay it over the top, press down. So the sticky side's down. And then what I'm going to do is create a hinge. So I'm going to, at the top, I'm going to wrap it around nice and tight. Press it on there, and now I have everything just the way I want it, and I'm going to slowly peel it up so all those die cuts are going to stick to that press and seal. I'm going to put glue on them and flip it back over. So right now I'm just going to put glue on the blue leaves, and I'm just going to start with this top one because I don't want my glue to dry while I try to get glue everywhere. So we'll start with this top one. And I'm not putting on the flowers, just the blue part, just the stems. And then I'm going to pick it up, pull it nice and tight, and just like so. Press down where all that was, and now when I lift it up, I'm gonna, sometimes if you didn't use enough glue, you're gonna have to put it in there. I'm gonna gently pull it back. Now I want those flowers to come up. There we go. So now I have that piece down right where I want it. Now, on this card, I did not pop up my flowers, but I felt like they got a little lost. So you could either add ink to them, or I'm just going to add some foam. So I'm going to put some, got some more of this thin profile so I don't create too many layers. And I'm going to put one there. And right there. And I could certainly go in and put it on every petal. I don't know if I'll put it on every petal, but all right, I've got foam on the back of my flower, and yes, I opted for every petal, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it back down and stick down my flowers. And then when I pull it back up, now my flowers are down exactly where I want them. So I'm going to repeat that process with this this cluster down here, and then we'll be back. All right, I've got my flowers on there. This piece of press and seal, I'm just gonna kind of stick over here on my desk, and that can be reused over and over and over. So you should have the word smile, and let's see, that's going to fit right in here, kind of in this opening. And then you should have had, I don't see mine. You should have had, oh, there it is, on a piece of Post-it tape, a little dot for your eye. So I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Now, I did use foam on this. You don't have to. You could use a couple pieces of scratch cardstock just to give it some depth, so you get that shadow, and it helps instead of just gluing it straight down. It gives a little interest. So I'm going to put that down in the center. All right, so there's that. And then for the smile, so if you don't want to pop yours up, you can just glue it down. If you don't want to fiddle with the foam, I have some foam strips that I'm going to use. That should work out pretty good on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and get foam on there. All right, so I've got that foam pulled off, and I'm just going to tuck it right in here where it fits. And then my little center, I'm going to try to, let's see if I cut this piece of foam big enough or too big. That'll work. And if it's a little big, I'm just going to go in there and trim some of it off. I see it sticking out right there. Go. Eye on my, all right, and that card is finished. All right, our last card is this Feel Better Soon. I know that my sentiment is upside down. I'm going to fix that in a bit. I forgot to do that before the video. I glued it onto my card upside down. So, I mean, it obviously works this way too. So, I don't even know if I could get it off. Oh, I probably could, and maybe with some undo and I'll fix it. But anyway, really it was made to look like this. That's the design of when you get the die, the way it's created. So it doesn't matter. It looks fine this way. No one would ever know, except for some of those posies are like hanging upside down. But it is here too, so whatever you want to do. So I'm going to start. We've got this basket weave again, and I'm going to use the gathered twigs, and I'm just going to lightly go around the edges, kind of the same way we did the other. And then I'm going to go over all of it just to pick up the pattern. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue, whoops, wrong adhesive. I'm going to glue that down to my card base. And I will tell you that sometimes when you emboss paper, it shrinks it, so you can see that white line there. I'm just going to pop that in my trimmer and trim it off. And nobody will know that my card is missing 1/8 of an inch. Okay? Let's see. Let's go ahead while we're inking. We're going to lay out all of our greenery pieces, and I'm going to get out that peeled paint again. Find my dauber. And I'm just going to, now these pieces are very fragile. I'm just going to lightly go where the leaves are, like at the base. Maybe where those buds are as well. And it'll just keep your card from looking so flat. done. So we'll pull those off to the side, clean up the ink. All right, now I'm going to pull over all the white flowers. So I think there's 5. And then you have maybe 7, I believe, if I remember right. 7 of these little buds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. Oh yeah, 7. Okay, so with the fossilized amber, I'm just going to go in the centers very gently and just add some color. Be hard on this little one here. So I'm going to kind of tip my, I still didn't do a great job. All right, and then these bottom edges I'm going to get of all these little buds. And I need to poke out the centers, but I also did the edges of these, so I'm going to do it while I've got it all out. And these are hard to do, they're so little and will stain your fingers. I already did that one. And I think I'm going to go ahead and ink the edge of this since everything that's yellow has ink. I didn't do it on my original card, but I'm going to today. Okay. So, just going to clean up my hands a little bit. All right, so now we're going to want to get out, I'm going to go ahead and pop these out and then we will get to the greenery. While I got my glue out, I'm going to go ahead and glue this Feel Better Soon to the yellow circle. Alright, and I'm going to tuck all that away. And we're going to get out our card base, the greenery, and our piece of press and seal. So let's see. We have this large one, which I believe is right here. And the other large one is up here. So they see how they kind of fit in there together. Then this little one, which I can see did not cut out all the way for me. Take my little scissors and get that out of there. And that piece is right over here. This is upside down, so you can kind of see how that kind of creates a right angle there. And then this little guy is going to fit in here. So it's going to be something like this, but I am going to, with this one especially, I'm going to put in my flowers because they kind of fit in there just so. I'm not going to worry about my buds. We'll put those on at the end. That's easy. They match up. It's a little puzzle. The flowers. So let's start with the biggest one. So it kind of has a spot right here where that flower is really flat, and that's going to be on top. And it's going to go right in here. So then we just kind of make room for it. Okay. And then there's this one that has a super flat edge that's on the bottom. And so we're going to put that here. And, okay. I don't like the way this, sometimes they're so thin they get stretched out funny. So play with the cardstock a little. Well, that's better. I was trying to go somewhere else. All right, like so. This next one, so the biggest petal is kind of at the top, and it's going to fit right in there. Well, that looks good. And then you have this one. This one has a real flat, there's flat here, which goes at the top, and then it's flat there, so it kind of curves around that leaf right there. That's right in there. And the last one is this little flower right here. So you can see they're a little finicky, but once you get it where you want it, which I'm happy with that, everything's inside the card. Nothing's touching too much. And honestly, if it's over, like the flowers are overlapping the greenery, it's really not the end of the world. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to get out my press and seal, sticky side down. I'm just going to lay it over the top. And press. Alright, so same thing here as the last one. I'm going to make a hinge, and then I'm going to pop up the flowers. So I'm just going to glue down the greenery in this first pass. Alright, so I will put glue on the backs of those. I'm going to twirl it around here so I can reach them better. I think that glue is emptying. I need to replace it, so I'm going to grab something different. Alright, I've got glue on everything. I'm going to fold that over. Alright, I'm happy with that. I'm going to press it down. You do just want to be careful that you don't use too much glue. Better to have to go back and glue some pieces down, but if you have it oozing out of the side like I have it right there, there's a good chance you'll glue that press and seal to your paper, and you don't want to do that either. So, alright, so I got all my greenery down, except a little bit right there. A little glue there. So you can always go back and add afterwards. There were some places I didn't put any glue. So I'm going to go in and put some foam on the back of these flowers, and I'm going to use these foam circles in the centers. Alright, all the backing removed from those, and I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm just going to do each one, make sure it's where I want it. And that one came off as well, but no big deal, I'll just put them on. So I'm going to remove that, and I use that again later. So this one goes down here. This little guy goes right there. All right, so I have my flowers on, and now I'm going to go in and match up the buds. So this looks to be the largest one, and I believe this is also the largest one, yes. Right down here. Let's see, this one I believe is right here, yes. Tall skinny one might be right there, yes. All right, so our final step is going to be to add that Feel Better Soon, and there's the biggest opening here, so that's where I felt like it went best. So I will get some foam on the back. Peel off the backing and make sure it's right side up this time. And the Feel Better Soon is going to go right there. And that finishes off that card. All right, that finishes off our card class for today. I hope you enjoyed working with these die cuts. I thought they were fun. These are the fresh picked flower collection from Spellbinders. So if you're interested in a kit, you can find us at FromMomentsToMilestones.com and search for card kits there. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.